Good. Yeah.
What
How are
happened?
you?
What happened, Cynthia?
And there's something happen like yeah, usually moody things,
Who do you
but
think?
it's fine.
Work related or not work related?
No, it's fine. No,
Okay.
it's not work related.
All right. Let's jump in then. So I found a way to integrate Tableau into Whereby. So now you can see the Tableau board right in the Whereby. It's pretty awesome. I love it. So
Yeah.
sweet. It's like just native. Okay. So let me do this. Let me take a look. And so the topic of today is how we're going to do a villa projection. All right,
Yeah.
so let's take a look at this and see what we can do. This card is actually, huh? There's not too much I can do about this because this card. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to put on this card. This card does not have the necessary information to do an accurate projection, and what we need are needs to have the photos of the property, also number of bedrooms and key amenities. Okay, this one's bizarre. I don't get it. Okay. All right. So this one I don't know. This one we don't really have anything to go with. Villa
Yep.
Sekarang. There's not too much. Okay, what about this one? Kus Farm Bali Eco Resort. All right, let's take a look at this one. This one's a little bit better. Let me go ahead and share the screen. Okay. All right, interesting. All right, so we have sort of like an eco resort. Hmm. Okay. Resort. Resort. Hey, Alvin, welcome in. How you doing, Alvin?
I'm good, sir.
All right, we're taking a look at some projections today. So the second projection is taking a look at right now. This is fun. Oh, Alvin,
Uh,
you need to mute your mic. Okay, thank you, Alvin. Let's see. So Cruz Farm has been one of the. Well, actually, it was probably easier going with the Trello board from before. Let's see if I can actually bring that up. Okay, right. Trello. Okay, actually, let me ask something to Alvin. Alvin, I saw that Noli put up a request for a revenue projection on this one Villa Sekaran. So no, Surkan, but there doesn't seem to be any information here. I don't have a location. I don't have photos. Actually, I don't have
yes,
files.
I checked that card and it doesn't connect to anything. And there's no alt card, I believe. So also I'm not sure for
Okay,
Filaserkan.
okay. In this particular case, let's just make sure that the market builders have a message on it from revenue management so that they know. It's like the post office. When you don't put an address on it, they'll send it back to you and say, please put an address on it. So information is incomplete here, and we're unable to give a projection. So I would call this uh, incomplete.
But sir, I think Nyangli give a link for some prop. I don't know. I
Okay.
think there's some comment below.
Oh, okay. All right. Most likely we'll go with this. Okay, there's a link. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the link and see what it says. Okay. I'm not sure what this is. I had a call with Sakura's business partner Emmer last night, so it went well. I'll be meeting with Sakura to see two villas. We'll go with this villa. Please move this card to the meeting. Okay, so let me just double check. Villa Surkan Canggu. So my current hypothesis is I think this is the villa, and let's see if it's actually the no Villa Sarkhan. Uh, I don't have a positive identification on this villa yet, so I'm not sure. All right, let's do this then. Let's try to make a projection just off of, let's say, for example, if this were what we have. Now, it's kind of pretty easy right here. It already gives us a number, but let's pretend. Let's pretend that this is the property, and let's see what we can do about it. Okay, so we know the location. It's in Padang Linjong, and it's walking distance to Samadhi Bali, Bali Buddha, the Brisa Beach Club, and Echo Beach. Okay, so it's generally in this area. So let's see, Alvin. Let's start with you first. Where would we begin? What would be the first place we can go to look for a template to design the projection for this property?
Okay, first, what's up? Sorry.
Where would we begin? Like, is there any existing template or resource that we can access to give us a guideline on how to create a projection for this property?
We have a template published, I believe. I kind of forgot the name of the paper itself.
Okay, all right. I believe everyone currently has a different template, right? So I think there's one template Alvin uses. That's the Excel spreadsheet. I use my template, but currently, actually, we don't have any way of knowing who's accurate and who's not. Am I correct? Right. So maybe we should have a centralized revenue management uh, prediction paper. So what I'm proposing is this. Let's see. Let me see if there's a roadmap. Revenue strategy roadmap. Okay, forecast roadmaps. Right. Here we go. I'd like to actually introduce this idea. So wherever we make, let's say, a projection, let's go ahead and document it because currently I don't know where the projections are. In fact, let's take an example. Who made the projection for Villa Whiska? No. Okay. No. No dice there. All right. Let's take a look.
Sir, I'm sorry. Actually, that you are freezing, so
I'm,
I can't hear you.
I'm freezing. No, I don't want to freeze. I want to.
Yeah,
I want to be alive.
gonna like skip kind of like
Okay.
yeah.
Try refreshing the feed. I can't refresh it from this side because if I do, it cuts off the video.
Oh,
So it's kind of like a thing.
okay.
So try doing a refresh and swing back in. Okay, let's go
Okay,
with
sir.
this. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Villa Whiska. Let's do this. Where is Villa Whiska? Oh my God! Wow, we abandoned quite a lot of properties. That's crazy. Oh man, that's so many. Okay. Does anybody know where Villa Whiska is? Okay. Let's see. There's a content doctor here. I think it's over here. All right. Let's take a look. I found the card. Villa's Whiska card is here. And this was lead generated on Facebook, linked to photo. Here's the revenue projection. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, this was Tendy's revenue projection, right? So let's go ahead and put this over here. So what I'd like to do is to put this in. I'm not sure when the projection was made, but judging from Villa Whiska, let's see when this card was born. This card was born. Okay, the revenue projection was done on January 5th, right? So let's go ahead and put that in for January 5th. Villa Whiska. And this is the revenue projection. Okay, all right. So this one actually belongs before this one. Okay. And then let's take a look. Let's see if actually the revenue projection is similar to what we see in terms of actual performance. And then we'll know if the projection is any good. Okay, so the projection says that January should be around 33 million, February at 36 million. Okay, all right, so we just have 2 months. Let's see if we're correct or not. So we'll go here and take a look at the Whiska. We're going to need to convert from dollars to rupiah, but let's see the last 3 months. Okay, all right, let's take a look at that. All right, Alvin, how accurate is this projection?
Wait, 2014, the second, the February one is pretty close actually.
Okay,
I believe if you try to convert it on USD, I think the January is the one that is kind of good. I think because we start to launch it out at the end of the month, the projection itself starting from the first of the month.
good. So, good insight there. I think that whenever we launch, we should probably assume a bigger gap between the date you launch and let's say the average performance. When it first gets launched, it needs some time to pick up bookings. And Villa Whiskey, I would say, is pretty successful. It's overall done quite a bit of revenue. So we can see what the difference is. It's almost 50% less than projected. So over here, we projected 33 million, and what we see actually is about 16 million. Yeah, so that's about 50% less under projecting. Let's take a look at how we're doing now. Now the month isn't over for February, but currently we're at 2,495, and that in terms of rupiahs is 34 million rupiah. And the projection was, Cynthia, what was the projection? Oh,
It's 35.100 and something, sir. I can't see it clearly.
really? Okay, it's yeah, that's right. It's yeah. Sorry about
Yeah.
that. I need to zoom in. Ah, okay. All right. Can you see that better now?
Yes. Yeah, that's 36.
Right.
Yeah, 36,195,000.
Fantastic. Okay, that's pretty good. That's about 94% accurate. Let's go ahead and take a look and try to understand what potential more revenue possibility there is on Villa Vista for this month. So what I'm looking at now is I'm going to take a look at Villa Vista and we'll see how much of the room nights have been sold. Now, if the majority of the room nights have been sold, then the end revenue will probably be pretty close to what we see now, considering that there's probably no more space. But but if there's a lot of occupancy, if there's a lot of room nights available, that means maybe there's more space to fill. All right, so it looks like the first 2 weeks of February at Villa Whisker are really good. There's only a one night gap on the first 2 weeks. There's a one night gap here, and then it is, let's see, from the 25th onwards. Okay, almost completely sold out, right? So, with the exception of 4 more room nights, of which we probably only have access to these two, because the previous 2 room nights over here and yesterday are kind of too late to be sold. So, good. I would say for a February projection, that looks really spot on, actually. Okay, let's take a look at the April projection. The April projection is supposed to be 43 million and 2254 USDR to IDR. We're currently at 30 million. So in order to get to 43 million, we need quite a bit of space left over. We need about, let's see, 30% more revenue, right? So let's see, 43 divided by, let me just do the quick math there. 43 divided by 30 means we need about 43% more revenue in order to hit that April target. So let's say we're able to sell at the same price that we sold already. Let's see then if that's the case, we need to have 43% more space in the March calendar in order to be able to sell at that same rate. Okay, let's see if that looks like the case. We got one night here, 2 nights here, and all the way to the rest of March. Okay, we're waiting for the load. Oh, looks really promising actually. That looks very promising. So we have much more than 40% occupancy or unoccupancy for the rest of the month. So there's plenty of space to fill. So I would say that at least for February, and it looks like even for March, it looks possible. It looks definitely plausible that there would be a. Okay, all right. So this model is doing okay. I would say this model seems to be pretty interesting. All right. So we just went on a little visit to Villa Vista. Let's see, Alvin, which model would you use to start predicting a projection for this property? Which property are we talking about? We're talking about where'd it go? Sorry, you go back. Okay, Phyllis Sircon, which model would you use, Alvin?
Sorry, sir. What's your bit?
Which model would you use to predict the revenue forecast for Villa Sircon?
Which model?
Yeah, like how would you use this model from Tendi, or like how would you begin a revenue projection here?
I see. Well, if you actually personally, I always try to look on the try to looking for base price box,
Okay,
checking on the Miller property.
okay,
So this is personally that I usually try.
okay.
After that, I'm gonna look Miller property uh, from our side basically to be kind of like a multiplier, just to know regarding the seasonal
Okay,
process.
okay. Sounds good. What would be the closest, let's say, equivalent property, the closest mirror property to this one, Alvin?
Within our
Yeah,
within our property. If it's for Filaserkan, is it for Filaserkan or this Filaserkan?
Sircon. The evaluation right before was just a look at which the efficiency of each model, how accurate they are. So, what,
We don't really have much on Canggu, I believe. But if we talk about the longest one, I think Villa Aura is the one that have more data. I believe we don't have any villa for the past or for more than 1 years on Canggu, I believe.
we do.
Oh, we have Fosa. Fosa.
Okay, we have Vosa. We have another one.
What else? I can't forget.
Here,
I don't
don't worry.
remember.
It's normal to forget. That's why we have Tableau. So all we need to do is we'll just go over here to the insights and let's go visit the partner leaderboard, right? So we can just go over here and take a look at Canggu and then type Villa, and we can see what the current Villa products are. We got Vosa, Wiska, Loluan, Rakarai, Mi Villa, and Kubu Masari. All right, so which one of those would probably be the best choice to make a comparison with? Oh, breaking. Sorry. Okay. Maybe it's because the fan's on. Hey Google, turn off the floor fan.
Sure, turning off the floor fan.
Okay. How's that? All right, Cynthia. Hi there, Cynthia. Is it breaking on your
Yes,
screen?
no,
Okay.
better
Interesting.
now.
Interesting. It's like a simulcast. Welcome back, Alvin. Okay. Imagine it if you had a real meeting like this. Sorry, I can't hear you. Let me leave the room and I'll come back in a second. It would be pretty funny. Um, okay, Alvin, based on what we can see here, which property would you estimate would be, let's say, the best guess for Villa Circon now? Oops.
I think the problem is on Alvin network side.
Oh yeah. Okay,
Check. Hello, Alvin.
Alvin. Checking 1, 2, 3 on Alvin. Late night radio DJ voice.
It's from my side.
Oh, no worries. Okay. All right. I'll suggest this one. Villa Lola one, right? Villa Lola one, 2 3-bedroom villas, same dimension, approximately the same area. This design, I would say, probably could sell a little bit better, although it's not immediately clear what the actual quality of Villa Second would be. Now, the one thing I really worry about for this particular villa is kind of like the look of this kitchen. This kitchen looks a bit like our kitchen. It looks a little bit worn. You see the tabletop is sort of, so I don't know, it looks a little bit aged, whereas Lola one tends to look a little bit new. I'm also guessing because this kitchen is exposed to the outdoors, it probably ages a little bit more quickly too. Okay, so the resolution of the photos is a little bit blurry. I have no fast way of determining this. Maybe this is like Villa Asmara and Bingen, but in Canggu, right? In terms of design and trade off. Okay, so I would, long story short, I would probably use Lolawan as like the closest equivalent, and then I would go back to the last, let's say the last 24 months. We've had Lolawan, I think, for 3 years now. Okay, wow, very. What's going on here? February this month. February this month. Wow, it's so inconsistent, huh? It's a little bit hard to draw anything from that. Um, let's take a look at Lolawan, see why it looks so inconsistent. Lolawan. Ah, that's why. Too much owner pollution there. Okay. Right. Right. So, oh wow, that's that's not good. Okay. All right. So we don't have really good. Wow. Oh wow, that's terrible. It seems like the owner has most of the bookings now at Lola One. I didn't realize that. Hmm. What? That's bizarre. The owner has an Airbnb account too, as well. Hmm. Not good. Yeah. Okay. So this one is really hard to actually then make a projection from because the data is quite unstable here, and we're not able to get a clean feed. So then what do? We have really hard time finding a viewer property. Okay, to Cynthia, what do you think we can do?
Oh, for the property, how if we like approach the owner and then like ask them, because as per I see, there are a lot of booking from the owner side. So we can check out about the contract. Is it aligned with our contract or not? And then maybe we could review agreement.
Good. That's on a community management basis. Yeah, we need to go back and approach the owner about the integrity of this because it doesn't look it doesn't look too good. But on a revenue management part, like how do we create a projection if we don't really have a mirror property? Here's my best guess. Let's see if this works this way. My best guess, if this is a Cangguan villa, is to just look at this overall stack of data to be able to guess that. So instead of just looking at one, we'll aggregate all the Canggu and all the villas together. Now, that isn't so great because, of course, you have villas that we have more control over, and then you have villas that we don't have control over. And ultimately, there's about, I think, what, 5 properties that it's mixed into. So then I guess the question is any of this make sense, right? Does any of these values seem to reflect accurately? Is it normal to see a lot of bookings in August? Yes, and high prices in August too. Is it normal to see this in July? Yes. June, May, April. Yeah, it seems to make sense, right? The drop in seasonality from August to September is quite sharp, and then it kind of builds up again back to December and January. So, all right. So let's see. Over to to Alvin. Any more thoughts on this? Do you think we can use this as a guideline to guess what the prices should be for?
I think still, if you talk about the seasonality, the multiplier itself, I think still pretty reasonable
Okay, all
for
right,
me.
all right. Let's go ahead
Mm,
and draw that out, and then we just got to determine what the monthly prices are. So, all right, let's do this then. So maybe we use a revenue projection tablet from before. Let me zoom out of that. So maybe we can templatize this. Kitchena homestay. Not really, but okay. All right. We'll just use this as a template. Okay. Let's create one for Villa Sakar. All right. Okay. Ah. Oops. Okay. All right. Let's do that. And our method is probably going to be a Canggu seasonal model and also Canggu. Uh, oh, wait. That's the problem, right? We can't see the seasonal model um, because we have some contamination. We have a mix of full control versus not full control. So this will, of course, pollute the results. This will make the results a little bit less believable. But just for, like, let's say, understanding the seasonality model, let's go with that. And then we maybe estimate the February income model, right? February income based on that. Okay, no real fast mirror properties on this one, so we can probably eliminate this. And then it's really just about this, right? Okay, so this isn't the average, this is the total revenue per month in 2019. Okay, all right. So let's go with this, right? Where are we at? Cynthia, can you see that number there for January? Okay, what's the number?
Oh, sorry. 9,581.
Yep. Okay. All right. Let's go 9581, and then for February.
9577.
Okay, great. And then for March.
11 80, 68.
Okay, and then for April.
11,080.
Okay, May.
8,580.
Okay, June.
11,968.
Okay, July.
60,884.
Okay, August.
21,980.
Okay, September.
9,314.
Okay, and then October.
11,738.
Okay, and then November.
11,282.
And then December?
14,424.
Okay, great. So we got our ratios here. So then we just go over and create a Google Sheet. And
Sir,
yeah,
can I pick up phone from guest?
yeah, absolutely, please. Yeah, that's all good. Thank you for asking. Okay, so then we have our ratios here. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the month-to-month seasonality should look like. Oh, so hot. Okay, hey Google, turn on the floor fan. Hey Google, turn on the floor fan.
Sure, turning on the floor fan.
Okay, now I have my. Let's see. Now I have my different months, and then I have the values. And then I'm looking for the ratios. Okay. All right. These are my values. Great. And then I take a look at my months. I plug those in. Okay. And then I'll just use the current month as a rubric. So I'll divide everything by 95.77. Okay, so I go up over here. Oops. Up. And then I go over here. Okay, all right. That's it. And now I have what the ratios are looking like. Okay, so then all I have to figure out is just have to estimate what my current month should be in terms of the revenue that I expect to get for this property. I guess what I can do is sort of take a look at maybe I'll take a look at Lova, yeah, and sort of see what their revenue has been, and maybe not the last, but just the last quarter, previous quarter. Okay, maybe last not 24 quarters, maybe the last one quarter. January. What? No. Wait, what's going on? This month, the other one. Oh, what? What's going on? Okay, all right, that's not right. Huh? That's weird. I have. Seems like I have some sort of restriction here, so I'm going to remove those. Bizarre. Huh? Seems like I'm. It looks like I'm stuck somewhere on Tableau. I have a Tableau bug. We'll have to reload that. All right. So on level one, February, I really can't tell what I'm going to make. Uh, this is terrible, actually. Wow. I have no idea what I'm going to make in February because the owner is taking the whole thing. So then, Alvin, how do I find an anchor point? How do I find like what a revenue should be for any particular month?
Hmm, how about you use May or September because that's the lowest one also.
September,
Try
yeah.
to check the ratio. Yeah.
Ah, right. Okay, let's try that. Let's try September. But we need to find the revenue of a mirror property in September because that will be where we anchor it. So we kind of need to find something in Canggu that's pretty clean. Maybe we should start from here actually. Let's start September 2019. And
Could you try to use the filter on Tokit? I
yes,
think content ever done that, so we know at least.
let's do that. I think there's a Canggu filter, right?
Yes, on text.
All right. Okay, good idea. And then what we're looking for is whatever is the cleanest. Whatever is, let's say, something that we have the most. Canggu Villa. Bingo. All right. Villa AKL. Villa AKL. Villa Lolawan is very dirty. SK9 is kind of actually dirty too. I didn't know that there were so many owner bookings in there. That's definitely not good. Let's see.
Kubung Sari is pretty clear.
Well, which one's clear?
Kubung Sari above
Yeah,
Museum.
Kubumasari is pretty clear. Very good. All right, maybe we'll use that then. Let's give that a shot. Thank you very much, Alvin. All right, let's do this. So on the ratios, let's go ahead and zero out the ratios. and center everything around September. So that will equal the divided by September. And then all the ratios above are here. And then all the ratios below are here. Okay. Kubu Masari, yes, does look pretty clean. It didn't get very much occupancy though. Let's see what the latter half looks like. I hope this isn't all empty. Come on, come on. Oh crap, it is though, Alvin. You see? Not great, right? So it's quite a lot of not the most tight one. AKL looks actually like the most tight, yeah? Although it's an umalas, which is kind of not the best. So let's see what we made at Kubu Masari. Let's see what the September revenue was. Last 3 months, actually goes back to probably the last 6 months. All right, September revenue for Kubu Masari. All right, the September revenue was 1,000. So it was 1,000 because it was empty for most of the month. It wasn't selling as much as it could. So can't go with that one. But I guess what we could do is let's go back and look at the property partnerships and leaderboards. And crap, we can't go back in time. That's annoying. We're unable to step back into to those lengths of time. All right, so let's go to Cynthia. Cynthia, any suggestions there?
I'm sorry.
Okay. Maybe, Alvin, what we could do is let's be optimistic here. Let's look at, let's say, Kuku Masari got about 2 nights plus 6 to 16 is 10, right? So I'm going to do a quick calculation. 2 plus 10, 12 nights sold, right? Let's say we were able to do better. Let's say we were able to get maybe 22 nights sold. So 22 nights divided by 10, multiplied against, what was it, 1,000, maybe we could have gotten around 2,200. So let's see, what was that revenue for Kupu Masari? 1,071. So I'm calling it like this, right? I figure 22 divided by 30 is about 70% occupancy. Oh man, this is really messy, and this is taking some liberties. But let's say if we were able to get more decent occupancy performance on Kubu Masari, then maybe we could have gotten something around 2,300, right? So let's go with that first. Let's go with, let's say, a 73% occupancy at Kubu Masari. And that's our first test hypothesis, right? So that's like our mirror property, if our mirror property was doing any good. So that gives us this times, I guess, this number, right? If we could have gotten 22 nights at the same rates, then we should have been able to get about 2,300. Say 2357, 2356. All right, so we have that, and then let's stretch it out and see what we should have gotten for the other months. Oh, wow. Okay, and then we look at a sum. Oh, wow, that's actually pretty good then, yeah? That's 37,000, which is way above what they're making now, which is good. Let's call this the calculation sheet. Seasonality, Canggu. Okay, all right. But let's go with the bad news then, yeah? The actual occupancy, actual performance. at Kupu Masari. The actual performance was not 2,300. It was more. It was 1,067, or it was 1,071. So let's try that. Let's see what that gives us. So at 1,071, we probably would be looking at what? No. What? Okay, wait.
You need to multiply it first. So.
Yes, sir. Exactly. It would be 1,071 multiplied by this number, and then let's stretch it out to the top and stretch it out to the bottom. And I bet you it will not be very impressive. I bet you it's only 16,000. Okay, so that's kind of like where we are, right? We're probably somewhere in between there. if we're using the performance of Kupu Masari as our mirror property, and the problem with Kupu Masari is that it actually had pretty bad performance for the latter part of September. It was empty for almost 2 weeks. That seems like a revenue management failure part there. That is not good. So that suffers now when we do the calculation. Okay, maybe we can get a few other numbers too, right? To see if we can have a few more predictions. The other way I can look at it is maybe I can look at Mi Villa. Mi Villas. Okay. All right, for Mi Villa, the September income was 5,693. So why don't I make my third prediction? And Mi Villa has how many rooms together? Alvin, do you know by any chance?
I kind of forgot. I think there's 4 villa. Three villa is 1 bedroom and 1 villa is 2 bedroom.
Okay, so
Oh,
it's
it's 5
six,
villa.
right? All right.
Yeah,
So
it's limited.
let's try this then, sir. Let's try 50% of Mi Villa, right? I mean, that's just so that we have the same number of bedrooms. So so it's like 50-50, right? Um, and then we just take 50% of September, which is zero point 0.5 times 5,693, which is 2,846. Which is even greater. 2,846. Okay, so we're just taking the assumption that that this new Villa Sakar, can do the same as 3 individual units of Mi Villa. So let's take a look and see that. Okay, this is equal to 1 times 2846. And then, of course, we are going to get something ridiculous here, $45,000. Okay, right. So, does that seem likely? Let's see. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at what the annual on Lolawan is. Now, Lolawan is 2 villas, and even though we don't have, let's say, full control, we do have 2 villas. Let's see what Lolawan makes in a year. Ooh, hard to say, yeah? Let's say, ooh, that's terrible. I didn't know Lolawan was so inconsistent. Yeah, okay, that's actually really terrible. I can't even use that. Maybe Kupu Matsari? Okay, that's a little bit more consistent, but it's not an entire year's worth of data. So that's a little bit tough there. Um, Gee, how can we do this? Alvin, any ideas here?
Mm, either we try to take. It's kind of stretch. Basically, take a average between the 3 villa ratio.
Okay. So I guess what we have here, Alvin and Cynthia, is we have a situation that is very vague. We have a situation that's not very clear. We don't have exact mirrors. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and write what the issues with the model are. The model improvements. are the model limitations. Okay, this model has quite a lot of limitations. We don't have 12 months of continuous data. We don't have full control on the most similar properties, right? And we can't really predict the pricing. Okay, then let's say this then. So all we have essentially are just best guess. So in this particular case, I would go, all right, so instead of like, let's say looking at here, let's look at it this way. Maybe this is the best way to reduce the discussion. This is at a 2000 February, September model. This is at a 2250 September model. This is at a 2500 September model, right? So since September is the lowest season that we've seen, let's just use three ranges and give it a shot there. So I think that then is essentially maybe the cleanest way that we can do it. So we'll just take 2000 times this. Hey, Logan, welcome in.
Hey, Jing, sorry, wrong room.
Oh, okay. This times 22,550, and we'll take this 2,500 times this. Okay, so effectively what we're just saying is we're creating three projections based on three different outcomes that September might have, and that will become our overall revenue projection. Okay, and then we just go this way. Okay, let's hide these. Okay, out of, let's say, the lack of any better information at the moment, this would be the best way I would actually set up a projection. So I know a few things. I know that my ratios between each month are not clean. I know they are not clean because essentially there are some properties that where we do not have full control, and there's owner bookings in there, and that distorts the overall revenue. But what I do see happily across Canggu is that it seems like the majority of the bookings belong to Bukit Vista. So I know that the contamination factor is probably diluted away by where the most of the signal is. And most of the signal is and we control the revenue management. So not perfect, but I have no way of filtering out Lola one right now from the overall Canggu data. Okay, so I know that. So I know the ratios are not perfect, but I know also the ratios are the best that I have. So then the only thing that I need to think about is what is my base rate for September. So what I've done is just I've created maybe 3 to 4, maybe let's even go with 3,000, right? September. So I'll create another model that says this is equal to 3,000 times this, and I stretch that out. Oops. Oh, wow. Did that just do that automatically for me? Amazing. Yeah, I think so. Okay. Okay. So that's really all I can do. All I can do is just saying, all right, there's a range of what I believe should be a minimal revenue achievement for any serious villa. And why do I think that? I'm just guessing, but I'm thinking if you could sell the villa for $66, you probably will have it fully booked, and that will get you close to $2,000. Or you could sell it for $70. 2,000 divided by 70. Is it reasonable that people would book it for the entire month at $70 for a 3-bedroom villa? That's probably very reasonable. Or 20 nights at $100 seems about right, right? Seems like what you could actually barely expect a villa to do. How do I know that? Let's take a look at the pricing distribution for a villa in Canggu. So if I took a look at pricing distribution, let's see what I can see. Let's see if I can go back in September. Well, let me actually let me limit this first. So we're looking at Canggu, then we're looking at villas, and yeah, what? That makes no sense. I'm not sure what this is. So it seems like the lowest we ever priced a villa is $58. All right, and the highest we priced a villa can be up to $172, $122. And it seems like the sweet band is somewhere between about $58 and $80. Right, so that gives me kind of like an idea of what the price range that this villa can sell at. I don't know how many days that I can sell that for, but let's go ahead and take a look at the villas that I have and see where the majority of those properties are. Let's say Kupu Masali. Okay, Kupu Masali seems like the lowest they do is actually, wow, really low. It's almost just under $1,000. Um, Mi Villa, Mi Villa, the lowest that it's ever done is about 5,000, but this is about half the size of Mi Villa. So if it were apples to apples, I would divide everything by two. So I guess 2,700 for any month. And Lolawan, hard to tell. A lot of odor contamination, but it's down to 324. But that's because owner took most of the thing. So I don't have much more clarity, so I'm gonna have to just make a guess. Otherwise, I just don't have any certainty at all. So I'm gonna guess that my September revenue can fall somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000, and that my based on that, my overall yearly performance can be between 31,000 and 47,000 based on that. And that is my projection. So that is what I'll put into the projection model. And I will just say that essentially it's based on a September prediction of 2,000 being the lowest, and let's say 3,000 being the highest. And then maybe I can even add notes how I can improve it, right? If we were to have a better model, then we would need to have better mirrors, meaning size and location equivalents with full management control. And we need to have better market sample for everything with full management control. Okay. And if we have these improvements, then we can probably have more accurate projection. So that is okay. Wait, let's get rid of all this stuff. This isn't relevant anymore. Let's get rid of this. Okay. And then just put that in. Oops. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about that? Alvin. All right. Well, okay. To Cynthia first. Cynthia, what do you think of this exercise?
Okay. Well, actually, first of all, I'd like to say my apologies since I was taking a phone from my guest, so I didn't really uh, get to know about this method. Uh, yeah, so it just made me feel like wondering about the number.
Okay. Alan, what do you think about this method?
To be honest, I get confused because you actually add lot of ratio itself. In there's 2000, 2250, and 2500 in it. I think just in the term, which one actually you gonna put on the graphic itself. Like now you actually put all the four of the number, right?
Mm.
I think it's gonna lead to confusion also for the owner also. Usually they also okay then just hope that actually I can get 3,000. Then I don't care about the lowest one.
Yeah, it depends on the confidence, I guess. That I think it's always good to have some options, Alvin. Right? So it's good to know what the worst case could possibly be, and know what the best case could possibly be, and that way at least you have some boundaries. Hey, this is actually a good takeaway from today's RM Guild. So if you can't get, let's say, the most accurate, then let's get at least the boundary lines, right? What's the worst it could be, and what's the best it could be? What's like, let's say, the if everything is a favorable condition. Let's say what's the worst it could be if everything's a disfavorable condition. So I think if you can subscribe those boundaries, then at least we know where it is, right? And maybe most revenue actual projections can be measured that way. It should be actually a range, right? It should be like, the lower boundary, the higher boundary, and then the answer should always be within the boundary. And then if you can actually move the boundaries closer together, then you have a better projection. Oh, shit. Does that make sense?
Yes, my approach is basically kind of like that. I use lower hints and also upper hints. But the one thing that actually I'm asking is if you want to do the lower hints and upper hints like that, or the lower boundary and upper boundary, sub boundary, I think we can delete the 2,250 and also 2,500 in the end. Because basically we actually choose that the lowest one will be 2,000 and the highest one is 3,000. So
Oh,
there's no
okay.
confusion between
Sure,
it.
sure. We can just eliminate the middle model so that
Mm.
we have a clearer picture. Okay, great. Actually, I have a new idea for an SLA on projections. I think this is actually a really good way of understanding if somebody is projecting well. The easiest way to know if somebody's projecting well is I think a projection should have a monthly lower boundary and a monthly higher boundary. Let's say, for example, we predict at worst you will do 1,500, at best 3,000, right? And so if the number is 1,000, then you're terrible, right? Because that fell right outside of the boundaries. But if the number is 2,000, then that's good, okay? Because you've essentially created the lower boundary and the higher boundary. But how do you tell if somebody is really good? How do you tell if somebody's even more skillful as a revenue projector? Alvin, how would you then, let's say, determine of the skill of a better projection or a better projection person? A better, yeah, what would indicate somebody's better at projecting?
If we talk about better, it means well, month to month itself, the projection itself getting a lower error margin.
Hmm.
We basically we already have KPI, we already have SLA of it also, right? This also when I'm a challenge myself. Usually I'll put a 7% error margin for my projection,
Right.
and either it's actually lower or it's higher. In the end, the boundary itself is 7%, right?
Mhm.
So it's actually lower. Let's say I always try to create what's called a projected revenue, monthly revenue projection. Let's say I projected 100,000. That which means I also have chance around lower than 7% lower than 100,000 or 7% higher than 100,000 itself. So just because I don't achieve that, it doesn't mean that's a bad thing. But because if I see it from the last months, basically, if the error margin is getting lower, it means my projection is getting better also. So that's how I try to comfort myself.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Here, check this out, Alvin. If let's say, for example, whatever you predict is outside, or what the actual number is, it's outside of your lower bound and your upper bound, then projection's no good. But if it's inside the boundary, then it's good. But then the real skill is creating a smaller margin between your upper bound and your lower bound, right? So if you have, let's say, a margin of only $1 between the upper bound and the lower bound, then you are highly, highly constrained, right? You're like, the worst case is this and the best case is that. So you're super, super finite. If you're super unskilled, then you would say the lowest case is 0 and the highest case is $1 million a month, because of course it's going to fall in between. So essentially, it should, whatever you target should fall within the lower boundary and the higher boundary, and ideally the distance between the lower and higher boundary should be smaller and smaller and smaller. If you have smaller and smaller distance, it means that you're able to actually disregard the components that you're able to predict what the maximum possibility is fairly accurately. And you're able also to predict what the lowest performance is fairly accurately too. And that, if you can constrain that down to, let's say, a few $100s, then you are, I would say, a very, very gifted projection artist then, because your range is super small and it only allows a very narrow case where you actually be correct. So I think that would be an interesting span. So imagine like you know exactly what span is going to be between. You know that this particular property will be between the 2250 model and the 2500 model, right? The widest span between the 2000 model and the 3000 model is, yeah, it's more easy to get correct because it's probably going to fall somewhere between there. But if you have, let's say, you can pick exactly down to, let's say, $100, then that would be the most gifted skill. Okay, all right. That is just this I think is the best that you can do. Given the constraints that we have, I think we just need to do the best that we can. So we need to understand what the limitations are. We can't go in and say this is accurate because we know it's not. We know that isn't perfect. But there's not too much we can do with imperfect conditions. It's just kind of baked into the data. So all we can do is we can just notify that this is what it is, and this is what we strive to get. And perhaps there could be a way we can ask for filter out, remove the non, remove the messy data points, right? And that could actually clarify the data in the future. Okay, that's it. Any questions or any feedback today about this projection that we've done? Yes, Cynthia.
Yes, sir. Actually, it's more like a question.
Yes.
So we make a what is a projection for a new property for a year, right?
Hmm.
First, right, a year. So is it possible if in the middle of the year or maybe in the middle of the time, we change the projection?
Absolutely. Very good question. Yeah, continuously so. I'll give you a case of this. This projection that you see Tableau makes for our company, it changes every month. Um, it's looking essentially, it's getting more accurate, actually. I've noticed at first it was slightly off, and now it's actually more right than we are. So the projection it made for January was far more accurate than my own projection for January. So somehow it's able to look at past data and try to understand how the future will behave. Absolutely. The best way of creating a projection is to constantly project, right? It's constantly to like look at what you're doing and ask yourself, is it getting any better? And because eventually you should be able to, let's say, take all the data that we have today to make a better projection than you did 6 months ago, right? So yeah, in the purest form of this art, you should be making a new projection every day of the property because you have new inputs every day. You have coronavirus now, right? So that effect is kind of affecting booking pace, and that's affecting all this other stuff that maybe the previous projection did not actually take into account. So yes, ideally, you should continuously project, and you should continuously ask yourself if your projections are getting better. So it's almost like a software release. You're just continuously improving and improving and improving, and you tell the owner ideally, hey, the projections have changed. Hey, the projections have changed. And as long as you can tell the owner that this is the new projection, you always have control over the conversation too. You always control over the persuasion because now you can tell them this is the new projection, and the old projection doesn't work anymore because there's some new conditions. But if the owner comes back to you and says, why are you not meeting the previous projections? You have less leverage, right? Because you have not offered a new model yet. yes, you could explain, yeah, there's been new factors in the system, boss. There's coronavirus now, so of course it's not going to be the same. But it's not as forthright and proactive as if you could actually create a better projection. A vision of the future, the projection should be automatically built into bigger every month, and it should show right next up to the revenue graph, kind of like the way it looks like here on our chart, so that the owner has an idea of what to expect in the future. Yeah, and that keeps people from fucking around too. All right, because they can say, "Oh my God, my revenue's gone all the way down. What happened?" Right? You know, or they just can't keep track anymore. They're like, "Am I going up? Am I going down? What's happening?" So, yes, very much so. I think continuous projections and coming up with new ideas on the projection are very valuable. Oh, cool. Okay,
Okay, sir. Thank you
good
for the
stuff.
explanation.
Alvin, any questions on your side? Okay. All right. This is why we do revenue management, Gil, because sometimes this stuff is like weird, right? Sometimes this stuff is not doesn't really fit into a box cleanly. In those particular cases, we'll just have to tell the diner that there's some bones in their meat, and we just can't find where the bones are, but there's some bones, and we think they're located over here. So at least they have a heads up. Okay. All right. Thank you for coming into revenue management today. I've created a group now on WhatsApp because that was part of the duty for the all hands, and now we can report that up to the entire company level. And oh yeah, Alvin, when are you teaching your delegation class? By the way.
Yes, sorry. I do make a paper for